Welcome back to Tech Layoff Diaries. And if you made it to week 4, you've done the hard work. You've stabilized, you've gotten clear on what you want, and you rebuilt your foundation. Now it's time to get strategic. And this week, you stop passively applying to every job on LinkedIn or any other job board out there and start having actual conversations with real people. And this is when you move from quiet groundwork to intentional outreach. By week 4, I was still applying to random jobs, but I was starting to feel more confident. And I had made real connections on LinkedIn and was having deep conversations about our layoff experiences and job search strategies, right? And even when their strategies didn't work for me, testing them gave me clarity. And at first I was targeting big tech companies, Microsoft, Google, FAANG companies. But after 60 days, I realized it wasn't it for me, okay? I shifted my focus to startups and growth stage companies where I'd actually stand out. This week is about 4 things: building your target company list, activating your network with clear asks, running informational interviews that actually lead somewhere, and exploring fractional or contract work as a bridge. So let's get into it. So remember week 2 when you were figuring out what you actually want? Now we're turning that into a concrete list. Pull up a spreadsheet, Notion board, or even a Google Doc. You're gonna create a target company list with 20 to 40 companies you actually want to work for. For each company, you want to know the role or roles you target there, remote, hybrid, or location info, why you're interested, so the mission, the product, the team, or the growth stage, any contacts you have or can find. Prioritize companies with better track records around layoffs, right? Not constantly cutting people. Good support for women in tech. Demand for your specific skills. AI tools, lifecycle marketing, product storytelling, etc. Whatever you do. Around week 4, I started thinking seriously about what type of company I wanted to work for. I'd been in ed tech for a while, so I started to look at health tech and digital health. But in the first month, I was mainly targeting the big names, right? So Microsoft, Google, Facebook, etc., with zero traction. I realized I was wasting my time. Big tech companies get tens of thousands of resumes every single day. So there was no way I was standing out. So I started researching which industries had the most stability and growth potential. And I shifted my focus to smaller companies where my skills would actually get me in front of a recruiter. And this list becomes your filter. If a job posting isn't on this list or similar to it, you probably shouldn't waste time applying. So stay focused. Okay, so week 3, you were gently reconnecting, right? Week 4, you're being direct. Okay, it's time to let people know what you're looking for. Not in a desperate way, but in a clear, calm way that makes it easy for them to help you. So here's the template. Hi, so-and-so. I was part of a layoff at whatever your company name is a few weeks ago. And I'm now exploring a specific role, right? In whatever the industry. And I'd love to catch up for 20 minutes to get your perspective on the market and hear what you're seeing on your end. Are you open to a quick call? Notice what you're not saying. Do you have any jobs? Can you refer me? I'm desperate, right? You're asking people for perspective and ideas, not immediate favors. That makes it easier for people to say yes. So start with warm contacts, right? Your former managers, peers from past jobs, cross-functional partners, community leaders in your field, right? So after weeks of casually DMing people, I got more direct and I started asking, do you have anything at your company that aligns with my skill set? And that got me in front of one person, which led to my second interview through a warm lead from a classmate. Once I stopped having those generic let's catch up conversations and started researching companies first, I'd ask about specific roles I was interested in. And even if they weren't perfect fits, expressing my interest got me in front of recruiters. And I was having about 5 conversations a week, some just for human connection with other laid off folks, but mostly to understand how companies operated, what the culture was like, what the teams were like, right? Like the only issue was I didn't have my core role narrowed down yet, so my asks were a little bit too broad. So aim for 5 to 10 conversations this week. Even if half of them don't lead anywhere, you're building visibility and learning what's actually happening in the job market. So here's the thing about informational interviews, friend. They're not just networking fluff, right? Like, they're intelligence gathering. And before you apply to a company, talk to someone who works there, not HR, an actual person in a role similar to what you want. So ask questions like, what's the team structure like? Right? How does the company support women in leadership? What are the realistic expectations for this role? How has the company handled layoffs in the past? What's the culture really like day to day? You're vetting the environment there before you invest emotional energy in applying. I started vetting companies based on vibes, right? I didn't want toxic culture or constant layoffs or people who felt unfulfilled. I wanted to work somewhere I actually believed in. So I talked to regular employees, right? Like, not recruiters or hiring managers, just people in the weeds doing the work. And those conversations saved me. They helped me avoid places I wouldn't have been happy. And honestly, some of the companies I was interested in have had layoffs since I got hired. So I dodged bullets because I did my homework. And here's the thing. Recruiters and hiring managers will sell you the dream, right? But employees in the day-to-day will tell you the truth. And that's the difference. So always end with, who else do you think I should talk to? That one question can turn one conversation into 5. And for women in tech, this is critical. You need to know if a company actually supports women or just talks about it in a job posting. You need to know if the manager is good, right? Or if people are burned out. Don't skip this step. So here's something a lot of people don't consider. You don't have to go straight back into full-time work, right? Fractional and contract roles are becoming huge in tech, especially for marketers. Companies need your skills, but don't have the budget for a full-time hire, so they bring in specialists part-time. This could look like part-time product marketing for a startup or contract content marketing for 3 months, fractional community or lifecycle marketing work. So why does this matter? Income. You're earning while you search. Experience. You're keeping your skills current. Flexibility. You control your time and your energy. You have leverage. You can test companies before committing full time. Now, at first, friend, I dismissed fractional and contract work because there were no benefits, no health insurance, no 401k, right? But now that I'm back in a 9-to-5, I'm reconsidering it. I don't feel 100% secure in corporate anymore, to be honest, and fractional work will let me control my effort, my focus on specific skills, and have a financial fail-safe. And the more I research it, the more appealing it becomes. I'm even thinking about establishing an LLC this year to offer specific services. So fractional work isn't settling, it's smart. Research platforms like Fractional, HireArt, or Toptal. Join Slack communities where fractional workers share leads, and ask your network if anyone's doing fractional work and how they found it. This isn't settling, it's being strategic. And for women juggling caregiving or other responsibilities, fractional work can give you more control. All right, so by now you've practiced your layoff story. And this week, tightening it even more for outreach and interviews. Your story should be clear, right? 1 sentence on what happened. Very brief. 2 sentences max on your impact, and forward looking. Okay, 1 sentence on what you want to do next. And add numbers where you can, right? For example, I grew email engagement by 40%. I launched 3 products in 18 months. I managed a team of 5. Numbers make your impact real. Then pair that story with specific, easy asks, right? If you hear of senior product marketing roles, for example, or if you know someone at X company, if you see gaps in my positioning, can you tell me? Like, make it easy for people to help you. My story finally clicked when I stopped playing shy, right? I realized I'm talented and my skills are worth putting out there. And once I had tangible evidence of my impact and got confident sharing it, my responses got better. It went from, I got laid off, to people saying, I know a girl who does this work really well and she'd be perfect for your team. And that shift happened when I owned my value. So here's what to avoid this week. Do not ask for jobs in your first message. Lead with perspective and connection, not desperation. Don't skip research, right? Don't apply to companies you haven't vetted through conversations. Do not ignore fractional options because they're not real jobs. They're real income and real experience. To be honest with you, I fell into all three of these traps, right? And especially ignoring that fractional work part. I thought it wasn't real, but fractional work is work on your terms. You can expand your portfolio, hone in on specific skills, and focus on what you're actually passionate about. And I wish I had explored that sooner. So here's your action items for week 4. You want to build a target company list with 20 to 40 companies with roles, locations, and contacts. You want to reach out to 5 to 10 warm contacts with clear, calm asks. Schedule at least 2 to 3 informational interviews. Research fractional and contract platforms and ask your network about opportunities. Then you want to tighten your layoff story with numbers and impact. And then practice your specific ask, right? If you hear of X or if you know someone at Y. And I'll give you a bonus, like always. After each informational interview, send a thank you note within 24 hours and ask, who else should I talk to? All right, friend, that's all I have for you today, okay? But week 4 is about intentional action. You're not spraying and praying anymore. You're having real conversations. You're gathering intelligence, and you're exploring all your options. Next week, we're going to talk about the application engine, how to apply strategically, how to handle rejection without internalizing it, and how to keep momentum when things feel slow, because they will. You're building something here, all right? And I will see you in week 5. Bye.